It's been quite the 24 hours, huh?
Yeah, man.
Wild ride.
Hey, you hate to see it, man. You hate to see it.
Had to happen though.
See, I told you you guys are
Some
gonna.
people,
I knew you guys are gonna shut up as soon as I hit record. You know, we actually.
You ruined the flow, dude.
Yeah, now we actually have listeners. We're up to. I think we're up to like 200.
Is it
We're up to like 225 now. I think.
dude,
for
those
subscribers?
those timeline videos are so perfect because like Twitter's just hard. Like you'll see like a quote tweet and like it'll be something controversial, and then you're like, oh wait. So then you start like digging, and then you're like spending 20 minutes just trying to get to the beginning of what started it all.
Yeah.
And so like having that video is so like I appreciate it.
Well, like my whole thing with doing it is there's always stuff like, you know, if you can't be on your phone throughout the day and you're not actually catching it in real time, it is really hard to go back and actually find out who's saying what.
And it could be people you don't follow, and you're missing dialogues that you don't even know about.
Yeah.
Tweets get deleted.
And
that too.
When I was saying I was gonna do all this, I was like, this is gonna be hard because I feel like there's not a whole lot of drama in wrestling. It's like a pretty old school sport where you don't get a lot of that. And then whenever like COVID happened, I was like, okay, so now there's not even wrestling. Like, what are we gonna do? And then the wrestling gods, they freaking came down and they said, here you go, boys.
It's been a wild off season.
When you started this all, I'm like, there's not even wrestling going on. And I'm like, oh, I mean.
It was a horrible time to start, we thought.
Yeah, and then it went on way longer than expected, too. So I like definitely didn't think, like, you would have very much content after, like, a while.
Yeah.
And then
it makes
people are keeping it interesting, though.
It makes me wonder if, like, did all of our previous like memes and stuff that we make suck, and then this one was like the first one? I don't know. Like the meme that I made that ended up doubling our followers, doubling our subscribers, doubling everything pretty much, and making us go viral. I feel like the pretty girl at the prom right now, to be honest. I feel like I don't know what happened with this meme that the other ones didn't catch on, because I feel like there wasn't anybody new that like put it out there, just kept getting more and more, and then there it went.
Yeah.
I don't think that I think the memes have been quality this whole time. I just think that you just kind of had the right mix of things happen, like the right amount of like you had big controversy, and then you just like got ahead of that wave, and now you're riding the wave.
Yeah. It was perfect timing. I was talking to Tyler. I can't remember who I was talking to, but I was like, dude, we're so lucky that all that Twitter drama happened on Sunday, like the day that we all have off. Because literally,
you're like, I got time today,
dude. I was
we did.
I was locked in, and I think that morning I had the idea of like the Onion, like doing like a wrestling StaleMates thing. I've always wanted to do something like that because we love the Onion.
You guys love the Onion.
Yeah. And the hard times is another one that's sick. And I was like, dude, somebody's got to do this. And then just like literally that morning, I was like, dude, we got to make this. And I didn't even tell Tyler. He just started going hard in the paint. And he didn't know that I was going hard in the paint making the meme videos. And so all of a sudden we were both finished at the same time. So now we had all these bullets ready to go in our chamber. And like we both didn't know that the other guy was doing it. And I told Tyler, Tyler made one of the first ones. And then I put out I think the Willie meme like the night before. And so those are like slowly going, and all of a sudden we were rolling. I was like, dude, we're emptying the clip tonight, boy. We're emptying the whole thing.
Zach called me and he was like, what are you working on right now? And I'm like, dude, I'm making another one. He's like, oh, your second one? I'm like, no, check your phone. I already sent you one. I'm working on a third one right now.
Dude, I felt like Drake, you know, when he came out with Charged Up and he came right back with Back to Back, baby.
Back to back.
But
haven't done anything about the other one.
Yeah. What's funny is I did the Austin Gomez interview that morning, and like we really didn't have.
I thought that was the peak of the day.
Yeah. I mean, well, we didn't really have hardly any audience. I mean, we still, you know, we're pretty low on subscribers, but we didn't have hardly any audience, and he's probably thinking, who's this random kid that wants an interview I've never met? And then literally, like, he was probably checking it throughout the day, and he's like, holy crap, this guy's going viral. Maybe not. Maybe he's not paying attention, but
I mean, right now, like, I literally just had a message pop up on my phone, like, hey, who's that guy who runs StaleMates? It's so funny because, like, I've been, like, reposting everything, you know, like, giving shout-outs and just not getting chat. And then all of a sudden, like, today I've had probably 6 or 7 people like, hey, is that your brother?
Yeah, I was talking to you guys earlier about this. I was like, there's a lot of people in the beginning. I was, like, being extra thirsty trying to get them to like follow us or get some sort of shout out. And then now all of a sudden that we've blown up, your boy's starting to get those follow backs now. Which
back then they didn't want me. Now I'm hot. They all alone.
It's all right.
Yes.
Man. I'm easy, man. I'm easy. You can get me home easy. But no, thanks for joining me. We got Tyler. He's does a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. Jumps on the show with me from time to time. He's the genius behind a lot of the memes that you make. He's also my guy that if I don't have time, I'm like, Tyler, dude, I got this idea. I need you to freaking crank this out. He gets it done. We got Mikey in the building. Future UFC star, MMA star. He's a pro right now. He's got his second pro matchup coming up in August 14th. Stacked card.
1 month.
Kansas City, Missouri. Mikey wrestled at Mizzou. He wrestled at Iowa State, state champ, NCAA qualifier. He coaches. He coaches still, and if you see him all of a sudden leave the chat, he actually is a firefighter and he's on duty right now. So if you see,
KCFD.
Yeah. So if you see him bounce out of here, he's got to go save somebody. So
I'm actually I'm driving the pumper today. So yeah, if we get a call, I gotta head out of here and I gotta figure out where I'm going. But
hey, take us with you.
I'm sure they'll be all right.
Take us with you. That'd be good content.
Live stream it.
Live stream, dude. Dude, that'd be sick. No, but this is a show that we try to do. We did it early on. We're getting back to it. We just try to touch on some random topics. We try not to go too long. It's not as edited. There's really no editing to it. We get a bunch of topics. The first one I want to talk about, I didn't even text you guys this topic because I just thought of it before I decided to hit record. But the JUCO colleges I believe they decided that they're going to condense their season from January to March instead of the traditional, like early November to March. Mikey, you would probably have more of a say in this than me and Tyler. As a fan, I actually don't mind it as much because I feel like we waste so much time in November and December. I know nobody really likes to hear that, but I go to a lot of duels and there really isn't that much going on until about Christmas break. I know you got the Cliff Keen real early, which that's Division I, but just say that it could happen for Division I. As a wrestler, would you hate that or would you like that because it's less weight cuts?
I would love it because that's like with the season starting, like it's usually about the end of fall, like beginning of like winter, and so then it's like coaches start like it's preseason, but coaches start practicing right when school starts, and so then you're practicing this whole time, and then you're also kind of fighting the football crowd and stuff, and then it goes into winter, you have your normal season, but then they have nationals in March where it fights the basketball as well. I'd like to see them move it from like January to April. So then you're not fighting the basketball crowd and maybe you can kind of gain a little bit more following. Also, like then it's just one semester too, the second semester starts in January where otherwise you're just going the whole school year. The whole school year you're cutting weight, you're practicing, you're doing all that stuff, and it's hard. That's like 6-8 months of just grinding.
Yeah, I never really thought of it from that perspective of like getting more viewers and stuff because I've always thought it was kind of weird. I know that the basketball crowd and the wrestling crowd doesn't totally overlap, but there's just a lot of like sports fans in general, not necessarily just basketball fans, but just sports fans. So like if you're a big Hawkeye fan, you just like every Hawkeye sports team out there, most of those average fans probably go towards basketball. Those are the people that we would like to have, on the wrestling side. So I think that makes sense.
And like, I mean, there's not a lot going on in April. Maybe I'm blanking, but as far as like major sports, I don't think there's a lot going on in April. Where in like March, you got March Madness, which is just dominates everything,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're getting kind of like towards the end of the season, and like NHL, NBA, you're getting baseball starting,
Right.
So I think if they moved it back to maybe April, I think it would help out as far as viewership, but.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it. I think it'd be cool. We'll see what happens. I'm so sick of this freaking coronavirus, though.
It's still going, man. Here we are, July.
Yeah, I was with you guys in the beginning, man, and it's
Yeah,
crazy to see how it all.
It
back
broke
in
this,
March,
but
we
now look.
we're getting ready to go to NCAAs, and
Yeah.
then
Exactly.
we're like, oh, it'll be done in like a few weeks, and then here we are, July.
I thought it was a little 10-day vacation. The second thing that we're going to talk about here, we are going to get to the whole Twitter T stuff. But the second thing, they just had UFC 251. I'm not going to talk a bunch about the fights right now, but Bo Nickal actually went all the way to Abu Dhabi to train with Jorge Masvidal. That's kind of cool to see. That's kind of sick. I feel like because of that, you might see more opportunities for wrestlers to make money.
I just am jealous. Like, I think of it from like his experience. You got like, man, like what a cool, like you get to travel across the world. You get to train with a championship level fighter. You get to be a part of the whole process of a championship fight. I'm like, right, fresh out of college too.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And during a time when no one else is allowed in either.
Yeah, and it's
you
like
get to experience all that too.
Yeah, and it's like Bo Nickal didn't get invited to go to freaking Tampa Bay. Like he went to Fight Island. That's like
he went to Abu Dhabi. Yeah,
it's insane.
Seeing a whole another part of the world.
Yep. Also, this other topic, there really isn't much to talk about with that one. But the third topic I want to talk about is they were kind of, a big conversation that has been going on is like wrestling pay. Like, I think, and then somebody was throwing out the whole like union idea. I think that's absolutely bizarre that anybody would want a union as a wrestler right now. We're literally fighting. We're literally coming off like last week where Stanford cut their wrestling program. Wrestling programs are getting cut all over the country. And now we're talking about, and I know that's college and we're talking about senior level athletes, but it's hard to bargain when there's not a lot of money to be made right now. And so we're looking at how do we, we're trying to make these professional cards. Flo's doing one. They're paying their guys good money. Fight TV did one. I'm not sure they're getting paid, but I'm sure they're getting paid good money. And then now all of a sudden we want to talk about getting a union. It's like, if I'm a promoter, if I'm an entrepreneur, I'm not going to do one if there's a union where it's like they're going to make me pay a bunch of money. Like, I'm just trying to help you guys out and you're wanting more already when the market's not even there yet. This is all new.
Yeah, it's an interesting, especially like UFC has kind of laid the blueprint on combat sports and how to pay people and everything. And so I don't know why it's taken wrestling so long to kind of like try to get the wheels turning on just copying the blueprint. Right. But it seems like they are now. But now, I don't know. It's almost like people are trying to do too much at once without anything like established.
Well, I think that we see so much of the UFC and the UFC MMA world collide with the wrestling world, and like we're trying to like go toe for toe with them, but it's like you don't realize what they've built, like what Dana White has done, building all these characters, or not building them, but like just shining a light on all these personalities. And, I think that's important. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do here is help shine a light on some of these guys that I think should be exposed. Like if you look at not exposed, but the light shined on them. Like if you look at like a guy like DeSanto, like he's being 100% authentic DeSanto, and people love that. And so like outlets like Flo and everybody is covering them. And I tell you what, when you go to NCAA Division I's, I don't care if there's you know, a finals match going on, or, you know, or a better match going on, and DeSanto's wrestling nobody, everybody's watching DeSanto. You know what I'm saying? And that's because his personality and who he is. A bunch of other people too, that it's the same way. And I think, you know, with the wrestling world, it's like we gotta learn that, you know.
Yeah, and I just don't know how to get. I just don't, and of course this is whatever with everybody, but it's just like I don't know what the formula is or what the draw would be to get more people to like be willing to pay money to watch like something like wrestling wise, and it just seems like they've been turning their wheels for a long time and just can't quite figure it out.
I think a big thing is, and people are gonna laugh, but like I think that freestyle wrestling is like the IPAs of beers. Like if you're a big beer guy, you're an IPA guy. If you're a big wrestling fan, you're a freestyle fan. But the average guy who's drinking beer in his garage, that's a folk style fan. You know, you think about what wrestling event sells the most tickets. It's a folk style event. The biggest fan base is the college fan base. That's a folk style wrestling style. So it's like, why are we trying to make a professional thing and then we always switch the rules to be what the IPA guys are drinking? We're trying to force everybody else to drink IPAs when they just want a Busch Light.
Yeah, it's freestyle is definitely an acquired taste, and I feel like if you haven't done it, you never really appreciate it. Where like the guys that have, you know, that were real big into it, they're like, oh, freestyle over everything. But I feel, how do you think, like, if they went with more team, like more weight, like let's go back to NCAAs, right? Mm-hmm. What if they put more weight on team-based stuff? Because it's like every single year there's like new batches of wrestlers, and so like the NCAA tournament, I never want to go away because I love it so much, but it's always like following individuals, you know. Mm-hmm. And so what if they made it more based on like team stuff, so that like even if you weren't that involved to where you know like the whole lineup and everything, but you can always be like, oh, it's Iowa versus Iowa State, right. It's Penn State versus Ohio. So then like maybe like I don't know why like national duels never seem to like gravitate as much. I think it's just because wrestling's like, oh, that doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is nationals, you know. But right. I almost feel like they would have to go to like a very team priority, like a dual situation in order to like gain people who aren't fully involved in wrestling.
Well, you got to think about any individual sport where they still have teams like wrestling, right? It's just kind of how it is. Like everybody cares more about individuals. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But why is that? You know, I don't know.
I feel like it requires like a special circumstance too, because there is like times like this past year where everybody was like closely paying attention to the team race leading up to nationals because it was actually like in contention and things like that. I just think there's so many things in wrestling that's variable, but then like the good part about it is it always has those individual like subplots and so many different subplots within the way. And like it could be super spectator friendly if, I don't know, that missing variable that we're trying to figure out right now.
That's what, because I mean, every time I go to nationals, it's like just every time I'm there, I'm like, this is like the greatest sporting event I've ever watched, and I want everybody to watch it. But it's just like, how do you get the people who
There's
aren't
so much you have to explain.
Okay, so how about this? You wrestled, you guys, Mizzou, when you were there. You guys won the national title, the national duels. What was your gratitude in that? Like, did you have did you feel like you're on top of the world?
Yeah, I mean, like, yes, like it, and that's the thing is like, and so I even went through like the college season and stuff, and I know that there is a different weight that even myself puts on the individual nationals versus like national duels, and so like we won national duels, and it was awesome. But I think it would have been, I don't think it compares to winning a national title or even like a team national title of the individual tournament, you know?
Right.
Like I think that would even be even better. So it's hard to change because people love that individual nationals so much, but I don't know. I think that's like limiting us, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you're wrong, but all right. The Twitter T. You guys have watched the video. I'm sure if you're watching this, you've seen the video, especially if you have gotten this far into this episode. Pat Downey, let's not talk about the whole back and forth, but kind of talk more about the actual subject at hand. I know it shouldn't be a touchy subject, but I know that it can be. When you look at women's wrestling and what they were paid compared to the men's wrestling and what they were paid, and this is all allegedly, this is all, just like Pat Downey said, what they're paid. It could be true, it could be not. I can't remember the girl's name, but she put out what she was paid. I don't know if that's true. I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Do you think Flo was foul for not including them and kind of how they played them with the price range? Not necessarily just that, but also, do you think that it comes down to male, female, or do you think it comes down to like coverage? Like they're not getting the coverage that they need so that they're not, they're not getting the exposure that they were asking for. Therefore, they're not drawing the numbers that they need.
Man, so that's what, with the whole pay thing, there's a lot of layers here, and you kind of gotta. There's like one side where it's like, all right, it's like we
Hold
need
on, you're already
equal
walking on thin ice, Mikey. I'm just gonna say you're already walking on thin ice. I'm just kidding.
It's like, so we want the equal opportunity. Obviously, in a perfect world, it'd be equal and be fair and everything. But you kind of hear the argument, the one side of the argument, where it's like, all right, we can only pay you what your worth is, and what your worth is how many, how much money you're gonna make for us.
Right.
Like you get a percentage of the money that you're bringing us.
Right.
And so then there's like the argument of like, well, these people are bringing in X amount, generating this much money, and like, you get down. I don't know what the details are and stuff, and I don't know what's fair. I don't know what the inner workings, but that's kind of the argument there. And it just, it's tough to because wrestling's never done this before. They don't have any merit to base it off of either.
Right. I think here's what I think.
So,
I think that I disagree with Pat Downey's thing where he says, nobody's trying to watch that boring, explicitive. But I think that if you, again, compare it to the UFC a little bit, they added the women's division a few years ago, and you had Ronda Rousey just wrecking everybody. And so the competition didn't really look that good for them. And it's kind of like when the Patriots win all the time. People are getting tired of that. But what they did with Ronda Rousey was they built her kind of character up, and then when somebody like Holly Holm kind of comes along and knocks her out, okay, now we have a show, and they're kind of doing that now with them. They did that with Cyborg. They did that with Doug Rose. Now they have all these characters, and so I do think there's this kind of give and take where it's like, hey, we'll deliver the talent-wise. You just got to help us. You got to shine a little light on us. So, when it is our turn, we get reciprocated for that.
And I think that stems from like, even like, if we go like the UFC gets that from pro wrestling. It's like pro wrestling is still huge, selling out arenas, all this stuff, and everybody knows it's fake. But why do they do that? Because they create storylines, they create like drama. That it's basically, it's more of a soap opera than it is like a competition.
Right.
And so people love storylines and stuff, and so that's where I am with it all, where it's like you gotta expose them, you gotta create the story, like you gotta create controversy, drama, and stuff, and that will gain traction as far as viewers and followers and stuff.
What I hate
And
about this whole, like, there's been a lot of talk of like the storylines lately, right? Because, you know, Flo tried to get Jordan Burroughs and Kyle Dake, you know, and that little beef. Pat Downey's got his little, you know, people are talking about him and how much he's done because of his like stuff that he brings. And then people always say like, we don't need that in this sport. But it's not like, when you're talking about storylines, it's not just the negative side of things. Like, people originally cheered for Austin DeSanto because of his story of like getting tech followed by Spencer Lee and then coming back and beating him, and people loved him. And then the rest of the stuff followed, which really skyrocketed him. But originally, that's like what people wanted to see. Same with like Chance Marsteller. Like, he went through all the negative stuff that he did, and then he's kind of, you know, righted the ship a little bit, and then people love seeing Chance Marsteller win. So I hate that connotation that building a storyline is just trying to get people to trash talk each other. That's not the case always. Sometimes it's a feel-good story. And, you know, here at StaleMates, we're going to cover that just as much as we're going to cover, you know, the beefs and the tea or whatever. So I feel like if Flo or us too covers the women's in that same sense, you know, you're only going to draw more attention. So,
so with I feel like, you know, they should, like, I don't know, like, they're super involved in wrestling, and it's like, so I coach like a kids club, you know, and I know in just the last 3 years, our participation from girls has skyrocketed.
mm-hmm.
And so it's like girls haven't had wrestling for very, very long at all.
Right.
And a lot of the girls that are the top wrestlers, they probably grew up wrestling other boys like in kids clubs. So they never had like their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think right now they need to kind of get ahead of the wave.
Yeah.
And get on the girls wrestling, because you have a huge amount of participation with the younger, like, you know, kids, especially in the girls. And it's like, now that they're growing up wrestling, it's like the competition's going to get better and better, and they're going to, you know, they're going to be right on the same playing field as the boys and stuff, as far as like a technical sense and everything. And so I think right now, like, I just, like, if they look to the future a little bit, it's like they could probably get ahead of the curve, you know, and really ride this wave down the road.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point that hasn't really been brought up yet. Is they're still really early. I know like women's freestyle wrestling has been going on for a long time, but in terms of like the mainstream and like, you know, the little kids and stuff, it's just now getting sanctioned, and it's still not even sanctioned in a lot of states for some reason.
Well, and like now high school teams are like, for the very first time ever, having girls wrestling teams, you know, and that just happened 2 years ago, you know, was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And now you see almost every school.
It's more common to see them not have programs.
Yeah,
exactly. The ones that don't have programs are kind of getting a bad look because they're not keeping up with the other schools, you know.
Yeah, for me,
So,
I'll be the first to admit that I don't follow women's wrestling as much, but it's not necessarily a women's thing. It's again a freestyle thing. Like it's a freestyle sport. There's not a lot of folk style women's matches, just because it's more an Olympic route deal. So like, I'll also be the first to admit that I don't know a lot of guys who are just senior level athletes. Now I know obviously the guys that are already on the team and the guys who came from the college world, but some of the guys who, you know, go Division III in college and then they somehow end up on a world team, it's like, those are the guys I don't know, because those are such freestyle guys. So for me, it's more of a folk style versus freestyle thing, which I've already ranted about. But I don't know. I think all this discussion is good. Not just with us. I know like over here, we just kind of make memes about everything and joke around, but you know, I like hearing your guys' opinions on it. Yeah.
And it's one of those things where like I try not to get involved in in Twitter beefs or really in the online, but like I'll sit back and I'll look at both sides of like the argument and like, you know, give it like an honest view.
Yeah.
And so right now it's just interesting because you got one side being like, well, it's all about the numbers you pull and all that stuff, and then the other side's like, well, we don't pull these numbers because of you know, of things, you know, stacked up against us.
Right. Yeah. I think there's something to be said with both. So conversation's always good.
But really, man, I think like it's in a pretty good spot right now. now with women's wrestling, because like when I think about it, I think maybe it is an exposure thing, because when I think of women's freestyle wrestling, there's plenty of names that come to mind, but I mostly know them through social media.
Yeah.
And like I try to think of like a prevalent women's freestyle tournament or something like that, and like nothing really comes to mind. I mostly only know these females through social media.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that does lead to me believe like I think like women's freestyle is in a good place, but then I can't even think of like a prevalent women's event.
Yeah. Yeah, it's another side
Yeah.
of the coin, but I don't know. Mikey, let's wrap this up a little bit. Mikey, you got a fight August 14th. Go ahead and shout that out real quick.
Yeah, August 14th, I'm fighting. It'll be at the Cable Dahmers Arena in Independence, Missouri. Got a tough opponent. It's going to be streamed on UFC Fight Pass, which is the UFC streaming service. So I think it's only like $6 or something, like for a little subscription.
Yeah,
subscribe, watch me beat someone up.
We'll make sure to put the link out when that comes time. Tyler, you want to shout out what our new project that we got going on with the satire page?
Yeah, the StaleMates times. We just started it last night. It's rolling out hot. We feel pretty good about it as a concept. We'd like to know if other people are enjoying it or not. And we're also trying to kind of fill out a home for it right now between Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah. Also, if you have like a funny headline that you want to like DM us, we'll give you credit and make that happen. But
what was the what were the 3D satires that you guys put out? I think there was
the first
the
one,
Matt Roney one.
That was the last one.
And then
what was the first one, Tyler?
The first one was local feminist shreds $10,000 in support of women's rights.
Which I don't know if that went over people's heads.
The office.
I don't know if that went over people's heads, but like he put out like a thing saying like he wasn't going to wrestle because Flo wasn't in support of women's wrestling, which is totally ironic. And then
what was the second one?
Well, like yesterday was such a fast-moving day that when I first started making that meme, he was originally going to be with Flo shredding the money, like smiling like that. And then by the time I started it, all this news rolled out, and we're like, it's just going to be Downey shredding the money.
The second one was the best one, in my opinion, Tyler.
Yeah, poor Nomad over at Flo Wrestling, no longer affiliated with
Defeated Nomad.
It's rumors.
Defeated Nomad.
Yeah, he blocked us earlier.
Yeah, which that like plays into this whole thing like hilariously because he blocked us and we put out a video of him blocking us, and then our mentions got flooded with people saying he blocked me too, and then just some stuff happened that I want to really get into, but Tyler put this out and it was like, oh man, that's rough. That's so funny. I was dying.
I was thinking about that. I was like, that was pretty cold.
Man, yesterday all day I was working yesterday, and just all day every time I got on Twitter it was just crazier and crazier.
Yeah. And
like we ended up having calls till like 2 a.m, and but like it was still going crazy, like even that late.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even keep up with it. Every time was just crazier and crazier.
I could not put my phone down, and then I was literally like, Tyler and I FaceTimed for like 2 hours last night, and he was like, man, you still got to make that video. And I was like, what time? I didn't even really know what time it was. It was like 9:30, 10 o'clock. And so I didn't get finished with that video till like 2:30 in the morning. And then I literally like went upstairs, went to bed, and like literally laid down in bed like I just got done with like a track meet or something. Like I was good down here, but I'm enjoying
whenever we get off here, I'm gonna post the perfect GIF for that, and I'll tag StaleMates.
I felt like you remember when the Popeyes chicken sandwich was really blowing up, and there was that picture that Popeyes lady, like the lady that worked at Popeyes, sitting outside with her hands on her knees, like and they're like, this is LeBron in Game 6.
Like out of breath.
Yeah. Like this is LeBron in Game 6. That's how I felt.
Yeah, I know. I sent Zach the third one, and I was like on video, just chugging down water. We were like, what a day.
Put in some hard hours.
Every time I would FaceTime Tyler, he'd be like this in his computer with his freaking hat off, his hair literally crazy because he's got a mullet, and he's literally bug-eyed. I'm like, dude, you're going hard in the paint. But, all right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe at StaleMates Show, Twitter at StaleMates Show, Instagram, StaleMatesShow@gmail.com, StaleMates on YouTube. Tyler, you want to give him your social security number?
Yeah, got you.
Just kidding.
555 555 555.
All right. Thanks for watching. Peace.